Hello, 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 how are you? Have you been all right through all the lonely nights? That's what I'd say. I'd tell you everything if you'd pick up
Shut up with that.
Damn crap, hell piss. You're gonna give somebody a heart attack.
Now, where did you come up with that?
Here and there. I pick things up everywhere. I've been all over. You name it, I've been there.
Hey, you don't even know what that is.
No, yes I do. Yes I do. That's cursing. And people do that when they're scared or upset or when they hurt themselves or something's really unreasonable.
Well, knock it off. You sound like a moron.
No. Morons is religious people. They live up in Idaho.
No, it ain't.
Iowa, Ohio, whatever. Damn crap, hell piss. Damn crap, hell piss. It just says it all, don't it?
Stop talking like that.
All right. Sorry. You're here, but you don't need to be here. There's no door that contains you.
Just do your damn work and don't bother me.
Just trying to make conversation.
And just whisper quietly to your broom and leave me out of it.
What did you mean, Gaka, when you told Resh he was ignorant? Well?
Aw, and then he was ignorant. You gotta stop this.
I'm here because I'm made to be here, but I've seen you step outside of that door 1,000 times. You return of your own free will each time, and I'm curious.
Oh, now you're a worm, is that it?
Very funny. Just because it's their calling to be curious doesn't mean nobody else becomes curious. It's not my calling, however, to just sweep these floors forever and never do another thing. If I do, then I'm sure I'll fall victim to some Hobbit's corruption and never be able to change back. I just want to know.
You said that you're made to be here. Why then are you here?
Well, it's not by my guilt that I'm here, but by misinterpretation of the facts.
Misinterpretation?
No. That's not what I meant to say. I meant to say that all of the facts were not presented to the great leader for him to make his decisions, and so those who testified were remiss in presenting the whole truth.
You think that the great leader lacks the ability to know whether a whole truth of the matter's been told?
No, I'm not saying that at all. It just may be possible that he was overwhelmed at the time and he had his mind on other things more important and then just may have made what amounts to a good decision with only the poor information he was given.
So you think the great leader lacks the ability sometimes?
You can be quite mean, are you aware?
Hey, I'm a demon.
If I tell you why I'm made to be here, then will you agree to tell me the story of why you're here?
I will. But you must listen and never ask me another question about it again. Agreed? What's your name?
And I am an ink. And yes, I would agree if you promise to tell me the whole story and not omit any of the details that might evoke my worm-like curiosity any further, and then, therefore, I may ask you questions during your telling. Do you agree?
Agreed. Tell me then what grievously misinterpreted and underrepresented events caused you to be here.
Well, do not laugh at my misfortune or my station in this revolution. As inglorious as it may have been, it was as important as any other. I and only 5 others in the entire revolution were couriers with the specialty of moving relics. I've been everywhere, all over. I've visited many leaders in their offices and many of them on the battlefronts, and I've witnessed many very, very important events, and I can tell you that there is...
Yeah, how long would a courier be allowed to stay at these many, many battles and stuff before being sent away?
To you, probably a very short time, but it's no less significant than any other to be so busy en route with so many important destinations with such precious cargo, I would say.
Stop with the emphasis and give me an example.
All right, already. I spent 11 minutes in the presence of the 30 who convinced a worm to seduce a mother's husband, resulting in the beheading of John the Baptizer. And I spent 8 seconds in the presence of the great leader himself, who'd taken a hold of the very worm that betrayed the Son of Man and later hanged himself.
Oh, I stand in awe.
And in honor of those 30 demons for their deed, the great leader insured a payment of exactly 30 pieces of silver for this worm's betrayal. And I was there because I delivered the rune that caused it. I've been around many other things. Are you intrigued?
Oh, yeah, that's fascinating. Why don't you just tell me why you're here?
All right. There was another courier who was delivering a relic called the Diviner's Eye. Ever hear of it?
No, but as you can tell, I'm on the edge of my seat. Hit it.
Well, as you know, the great leader has to work very hard to give everybody the ability to see things there on the earth, because when you're there, you can't see anything at all unless you take a hold of some seeing thing, and then it's not really very good because you don't have a lot of control, right? Although I heard that there was a method that was developed there in the West by a guy.
I thought you were going to tell me about this designer's eye, not a method.
Diviners. Well, it allows the user to see upon the earth there even though the user's not there. And, well, it's not very user-friendly because it doesn't really go where you want it to go. And what it does is it gives you the visions of bendings of light and stuff like that that God is not using right then. This other courier, I shall not name him on the chance that he's a friend to you. He was derelict in his duties. I saw him there, and he was sitting alone behind a stone there, and he was looking into the eye, you see. So I told him to give to me the eye and tell me its destination, and he got really scared of me, and he ran away. And I started to look for him all over, and I found him again, and he was underneath some clouds. And there he was looking into the eye again, and this time I told him he had to give to me the eye because it was very important that the eye got where it was supposed to go, and that he wasn't being very good about it. And then he hit me in the face, and it was all terribly embarrassing for him. And there was a terrible battle, and I threw him down, and I threw him down over and over again, and then he sucker punched me, and he got away. And it was all very terribly embarrassing, the whole thing. And then I pursued him at great distance, and then I lost him. And then sometime later, I found him again, and he was looking into the eye again, and this time I grabbed it, and I ran away before he could figure out what was happening. And so when I stopped, I started looking into the eye because I wanted to know, what it was he was looking at. And because I like to know things, and when I know things, I tell things to people that I know. I do that.
You followed your curiosity, and this resulted in you doing what you accused this other courier of doing.
Well, yeah, but I was not curious about, what was in the eye. You see, I was curious about what made him derelict in his duties. And so I put the eye up to my eye, you see, and I looked in there, and there was a beam, and a tube, and there was a line, and there was on the beam an incantation of some form of writing, and I didn't understand it. And so I examined it again to see if there was another thing to see, you see, and I moved it around, and I drew it in and out and up and down and everything, and finally I saw something new. And very clearly, for a moment, I saw there a great beast pass before me, and I watched very intently for the beast again, but as I did, I realized I wasn't able to see it, and I saw all these little tiny creatures with their life in them, and they were suspended in a cloud. And in there, they were moving about, and they had legs on them, and some had no legs at all, and some moved around with their legs, and some moved in other ways. And all of them seemed to be moving about aimlessly, and none of them seemed to have any real purpose or place to go, and then some would touch another. And at this, they would cringe, or they would flee, and then sometimes when they would touch another, they would attack them and eat them until it was completely gone. And then, so there would be two, and then afterwards only one would remain. And then it was 4 days before I stopped.
You seem to be one plagued with curiosity.
Well, to that I plead guilty, but what I would like for you to listen. I want to finish saying this because it's very important. And the power of the diviner's eye, it makes you want to look at it more. And you would not be finding blame on me. And as I said, I stopped looking at it after 4 days. And then I began to experiment with it again. And I turned it around and up and down and stuff. And then I saw something new. And this time, it was really completely different. And this time, this one was really different. There was a creature there, and he was living down on the earth, you see. And then, from what I understand, this one must have been a rat or a jackal or something, because this one walked around on 4 legs. And this one would go places and always come back to the same place every time. And this one, every time it would leave, it would go away and somewhere, and then it would go find another creature, and it would attack it and kill it, and then it would eat. And I didn't fully understand it, but it was very different from the first ones, even though it ate things. And it would go looking for them and very carefully to find them, before it ate them. And it was also always very seeking, to find, to go a place somewhere. And it seemed to have a very important message or something to be delivering. And I was often very unsure about what it was doing. For example, I didn't understand what it did sometimes with the creatures that it ate. It would pick up their bodies and then, throw them around and stuff, and it would pick them up and toss them and let them fall and then spin and jump and stuff, and then prancing around, and I would say joyfully dancing, and it interacted with the others that were like it, and it would meet with them in different ways, and to some of these it would show affection, you see, and then for others it was scared, and so it showed submission, and then from its seed they ate from it, and it cockered and it nestled, and with its seed who fed from it. And then before I realized it, I'd been watching Zune for 13 days.
Zune?
I named the creature Zune.
You named a creature that eats other creatures and joyfully dances with their dead bodies?
And cares for others.
What?
It interacted with and cared for others, and in a lot of ways better than I see that we in the Revolution always do for each other.
Are you suggesting that we in the Revolution cockle and nestle?
Are you going to listen to me, or you're just going to ridicule me? I'm trying to explain this to you here. Damn crap, hell piss. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I apologize in ink. Please continue.
Well, I twisted the diviner's eye, and I found other places, and most of them weren't very interesting at all. But I came upon one place that by now I believe I understand very well, and it was a legion of sheep or goats or something, and they were kept inside a pen at times, and then other times they got let out. And the one who kept them was clearly a man, and I knew that because he was in the image of God, and of that there is no doubt. And there was another rat that looked very similar to Zune, and the man would, by the sound of his voice or something there, he would chase these sheep all over there, and then wherever they wanted them to go, see. And then this man, see, using this rat, you see, he would take those sheep over the hills and the fields and the stuff to different places, and then to one place they would eat, and then to another they would go drink, and then to another they would sleep. And then sometimes he would take them to get them out of the storms and places under the trees and stuff, and then other times he would take them and shade them from the light there. And then all the time the rat was running around the sheep all the time, trying to keep them all together. And then if a sheep got lost, see, the man would find it and bring it back. And then sometimes there was other rats that were close by, and the sheep would get all scared, you see, and then the man would sing to them a song, and they would all be comforted. And then I saw the sheep, they were bringing forth other ones like their own kind, their own seed, see, and then each time the man would put down the stick he was carrying, and he would go help them. And then each time this happened, the rat would come over, and it would very carefully look at it and smell it and everything, and then it would make it stay with the others. And then the other courier, you see, he had gone to the great leader, and he told him that I attacked him and took the eye, which it wasn't true. And then so while I was looking at the eye, I got arrested. But the great leader wasn't told why I took the eye in the first place, and that's why I'm here and the other courier is not. You see?
Well, then I'd have to say that this other fellow is a much smarter courier than you, since he knows how and when to open up his mouth. You, on the other hand, seem to have no room in your head. Every time a word enters into it, you open up your mouth to let it out.
That is not true at all. I simply speak into the air my questions and concerns.
There's more to this story. Let's hear it.
You're saying that for what?
Tell me what you think of these things you saw.
Well, I suppose seeing these things, I didn't question the authority of the great leader or the necessity of the revolution, mind you. I just wondered of its purpose and all the way to the end, But I know that the main purpose of the revolution is to stop men from following God so that they don't one day command us. I just don't understand how this man, in this simple life here could ever pose a threat to us. I don't understand everything about myself
Did
here.
you think that maybe you and I were meant to one day be as those sheep to this man, and that he was simply training for that day?
Actually, I did. I just thought that, an eternity like those sheep, it might not be as bad, as we always thought it would be, and could be. And then I would certainly prefer it to sweeping these damn floors.
Now I understand why you're in here.
You don't see how a thing like that could affect somebody? Now it's your turn. It's your turn. Keep your promise. Keep your promise and tell your story.
Patience is a virtue. Practice it now. I've limited my interruptions by asking only very pointed questions during your story. Let me suggest you learn from that example and do the same for me, sparing me from drawing out this sentence you've committed me to. There are many men, even those like you've seen in this designer's eye. If you'd like to know, they're called shepherds. My billet is to pursue those who are not of an easily corrupted nature. At last, I had 9 I was a harassment to. There were 2 women, a girl, 3 men, and 3 boys. A nearby war had just ended, but those who still longed for war came to my region to continue doing their worst. They killed all but one of my charges. I managed to keep them from harming a boy. From there on, I devoted a great deal of time to him, but I seemed to have no effect. He would never increase his sin from it. It was difficult for me to affect his interactions. He just cried and worked and worked and cried. Then I learned of a journey he was to take, and I set out to seek the aid of other revolutionaries along his route. Whenever we enlist the aid of other demons, we risk doing harm to all of our work.
Well, who did you enlist?
It's not important.
No, I just thought I might know him.
It doesn't matter who they are. It's always risky. But I felt I had to try something, because this one was frustrating me and testing my sanity. The first demon I used because I thought I could control him, so I instructed him in what he should do. But he didn't understand my charge. The second was a lust bringer. He'd spread his disease over a vast area and spanning many generations, but he proved he couldn't corrupt it any other way. He even neglected his own charges and tried very diligently for a time to affect this young man. But the boy recoiled at every effort and departed as fast as he could from that area and that sin. Finally, I sought the aid of a fiend whose entire focus was a group of highwaymen. I hoped that since he knew these ruffians so well, he might be able to put the boy in a situation where he'd be forced to sin for fear of his life. They fell on him in the wild, and it seemed to be going well. They hadn't killed him yet. Instead, they took him off the road and began to make sport. But then something unpredictable happened. In the midst of a tormenting by 2, my charge disarmed one and plunged the dagger into both of them. Before the rest could even stand, he fell on them and killed 3 more. The remaining 4 fled in terror of him and spread the story of a wild-eyed crusader who sends villains to their judgment. These 4 repented of their sins and sought their sanctuary and absolution in the local kirk. The fiend was furious with me, and he accused me of doing God's work, for in one day my charge had caused the loss of all of his charges. This young man poured himself out to God and established a relationship with him based on a humility 1,000 times greater than it had been. His murders didn't corrupt him, but actually drew him closer to God. This act also proved ruinous to me. Though there were plenty of other charges to be had, I was undone by what had happened.
Undone in what way?
You're not the only one who's come to question your purpose. All of these times you've seen me leave here, I try to return to my billet and carry on my duties. But each time I remember what this young man voiced aloud. Only in this institution can I keep from hearing other influences, and so try to put away what he voiced somewhere. So I return here each time to think on it before I try again.
And what did this hip groovy cat say aloud?
Stop talking like that.
Sorry.
Forgive me, Lord, and bless those who persecute me.
Isn't that what a saint would say, given the circumstances?
Yeah, I believe so. But what you're failing to grasp is that we, the fallen, the violators, the spirit crushers, the lust bringers, the pride mongers, the crowders of the mind, We the demons are not privy to the prayers of the saints. My hearing this prayer, was it the blessing he prayed for? Look what it's done to me. I'm still lost, still fallen, still corrupt, yet I've not been able to fulfill my duty any longer.
Actually, what I'm wondering is why hearing someone's petition to God is stopping you. They're only words. You decide. We can all decide our own.
Before the Chamber of Time and the worms, were you able to see anything?
On the earth, you mean?
Yes, on the earth.
I've never looked on the earth until I looked into the diviner's eye. There's never been a need to give couriers the sight.
Lucifer does not give anyone sight.
Of course he does. How else do you think everyone sees in the battles? He has to clear up their vision so they can see their enemies. You were given the sight, otherwise you'd never been able to be in your battles. You're going to tell me I'm wrong, aren't you?
I'm going to speak this to you now because of my confidence in the walls of this institution. It's hard for me to understand my own deceit most of the time, but seeing you and yours is simple. While we're here in the Chamber of Time, we do not fully understand our situations because the Great Leader does not want us to. What you just said, I understand and many others understand, is the deceit that you live under.
I know that these things aren't always clear, but I did.
No. Listen to me. No one, not one of us, needs to have our vision cleared. We can all see. It's you that's had your vision veiled. That is the deceit that you live under. All of us live under some deceit. Deceit, that is, that must be fitted to us. Our minds, our capabilities, our ways. Each of us is given a measure of deceit for the Great Leader's purposes.
You've completely lost me in this. Why? Why would the Great Leader want to deceive everybody in the revolution? We're all in this together. We chose to be part of this revolution, and the Great Leader works very hard for us. Very hard.
You said you've been everywhere, but I'll tell you right now, you didn't come to the earth until after the revolution began, isn't that right?
Yes.
Before men, there were many things alive here. We saw them. We even tended to them there on the earth. Many diverse creatures, many more than there are today. And during that time, the Great Leader often left the chamber. You understand what I'm saying? We could still see while he was absent from the chamber. We did not need him for our sight.
That is, but why? Why would the Great Leader...
To keep us in the revolution. To keep us doing the work of it. To keep the Great Leader leading. Try to think back before the revolution and the chamber. Back when your purpose was actually clear.
But that was all false then, because we were only living in part of the truth.
Yes, I know all that, but listen to me. Though back then, we were veiled from all the truth. All of our understanding was simple. We were not unhappy. Now we know. We've gained the knowledge of what it means to deny God. Yay! And declare ourselves independent. But we're still under authority.
But I chose to be part of this revolution.
You chose? You chose what? Do you think that knowing what it means to deny God is to be liberated to the truth? You believe that to experience all the pain and rejection we face for what we've done is to be liberated in knowledge?
But why
You think that because you chose to deny God and be part of this revolution that you're making your own decisions? Look around you.
But why?
You think that you're in this institution because you decided to be here?
I don't want to be in here, but I chose the revolution, and this is just a small part of it.
You were told that over and over again before you believed it, weren't you?
I'm sure I won't be in here forever. One thing I learned about denying God is that nothing lasts forever.
Look at it this way. Let us say that you decide that self-determination is a truth that's been kept from you, and then you decide to deny God. But in this, you did not decide to join this revolution. What then? You think you had a choice to go elsewhere and do differently? What else could you have chosen?
But why? Why would he want to blind me? But
why? It grows more obvious to me with each passing moment.
That sounds like quite a reaching, you know. He blinds me and the other couriers, but he doesn't blind anybody else. I don't understand it. Why would he do that?
With men, there are restrictions in watching and affecting them simply because of time and movement and other limitations of mortal life and sanctity. There are distinctions between our power and their skin. It is the things that we are subjected to and the truth that is kept from us that maintains us in our revolutionary function. It is not our understanding, but our lack of it. And not until now, under the knowledge of this man's humble words to God, do I fully begin to question what I already know. I remember when I was humble. I think now, I know now, that the truth is dangerous to this revolution. In just one instance of disobedience to the revolution, you witness something in the life of just one man on earth, and you begin to question your own purpose. I think it should be perfectly clear to you why the great leaders veiled your vision. You too easily question what you're presented with. Therefore, the truth is dangerous for you to know. The great leader knew this about you, and that's why he's veiled your vision and kept you from seeing the worms from the start. One instant in view of their lives, and you've come to the conclusion that it would not be a bad thing to be under the authority of a man. You may now know the truth of what it means to deny God, but in doing so, you're kept from the truth that makes you even free to roam around within your own self. You're free to live your life within a great lie.
Well, what deceit do you live under then?
Self-deceit mostly. I told myself that no worm should ascend to God, so no one could ever put me under their heel or use a switch to keep me in a herd. I chose to believe that their decision to embrace God was the assurance of my misery, and that God's acceptance, Christ's acceptance of their pleas, was unjust when I could have none. It's all a lie. Everything's been a lie. We began in the presence of God, and then we turned away from Him. These worms, these men, they began their lives lost. But when they come to know, they can choose to accept God and turn away from their own self-determination. They can choose to turn away from the lies that we give them. They can turn away from the shackle and be lifted away from it. We were already free and foolishly chose to be forever shackled. Lucifer's come to me every day and instructed me how I should call down lie after lie to these men, so they can choose to deny God and suffer our own fate. But he's always told me that it was this act that would save us from the shackle. He's the father of lies and corruption, and he's lied to us all for every moment from the beginning of all of this. And I'm now understanding that we've all made a grave error, knowing self-determination is a lie itself. We are slaves to this revolution and to Lucifer. Those who have not denied God, it is they who truly live, not us. And now the consequences of our choice, it's not going to be noble and liberating, but awful and terrifying, because we will receive what we've asked for, and we have made it so that we will have no way back. We have no way of returning to unknowing.
You're really beginning to scare me with this talk. What is it? What did we ask for?
Nothing. We asked for nothing, and that's what we'll get. Choose now. Choose now, Courier, to leave the revolution. Choose to leave this institution. Choose to depart the outer realm and the chamber itself. Choose all you want. Choose to return to God. Here you are, and here you will remain. We believe the lie that to know a life of evil after knowing a life of good in the presence of God was to know them both and be free. But we no longer know good. We cannot know both. We live in so much more deceit than we ever accused God of. Courier, you're in this institution because the great leader is not willing to risk having you discuss your denial of his deceit with anyone else.
What about you? I'm discussing this with you. You can leave here any time you want. You contradict yourself.
Actually, every word we've spoken has been listened to by someone.
Why do you say that now?
Because the way is barred and I can no longer leave. The more I speak the truth, the more I am freed from the lies of my own existence, and for this freedom I am now rewarded with this self.